Ladies and gentlemen, we need to have a serious conversation about what I just witnessed. Because if you are not paying attention to what is happening inside the walls of WNBA headquarters, you are missing one of the most baffling marketing decisions in the history of professional sports. This is not hyperbole. This is not exaggeration for clicks. This is a league that has been handed the keys to relevance, the keys to profitability, the keys to a future that actually makes financial sense, and they are actively, deliberately, almost surgically sabotaging themselves. Let that sink in for a moment. Let it marinate. The WNBA has just announced its 30th anniversary celebration. 30 years. 3 decades of existence. And for the first time in those 30 years, there is legitimate reason to celebrate. The league finally has momentum. The league finally has eyeballs. The league finally has a chance to be something more than a footnote in the ESPN scroll. And who did they select to be the face of this celebration? Who did they choose to represent the culmination of 30 years of women's professional basketball? Cheryl Swoopes.
Not all kids become goats.
Are you kidding me?
Because goats aren't just born, they're raised. We teach them to stay hungry.
Right through the chest.
Get loud. Build others up, even if it means knocking them down.
Took her breath away.
To stay confident and stay humble. Sometimes. Because that all-time part of greatest of all time, it includes the future.
I am going to let that name hang in the air for a second because I need you to understand the magnitude of what just happened. The WNBA, at the most critical juncture in its entire existence, has chosen one of the most toxic figures in recent sports history to be its primary spokesperson for a campaign literally titled Raising Goats. You cannot make this up. I wish I were making this up. I sat down, I watched the teaser, I read the press releases, and I found myself staring at my screen in disbelief because it confirms everything we have suspected about this league's leadership. They do not understand their audience, they do not understand their moment, and they are determined to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Let us establish some baseline facts here because the propaganda machine wants to muddy the waters. The WNBA has been around for 30 years. For 29 of those years, by all credible accounts, this league did not turn a profit. 29 years of red ink, 29 years of owners reaching into their other pockets to keep the lights on. There is suspicion, there are reports, there are rumors that maybe possibly finally last season saw some profitability. That would be great. That would be historic. But we still have not seen definitive proof of that. What we have seen is a new collective bargaining agreement that has players set to make upwards of $1.4 million. We have seen a revenue sharing structure put in place. We have seen expansion and optimism. And what generated all of this? What was the catalyst for this sudden explosion of interest, this influx of new fans, this media rights deal worth $2.2 billion? One person, one rookie from Iowa who walked into this league and single-handedly dragged it through the Sahara Desert on her back. Caitlin Clark did not just raise the profile of the WNBA, she resuscitated it. She performed CPR on a flatlined product. She put this league on her shoulders and carried it to a level of visibility it has never experienced in 3 decades of existence. The sold-out arenas, the television ratings, the merchandise moving off shelves, the conversations at water coolers, the casual fans who had never watched a minute of women's professional basketball suddenly tuning in because they wanted to see what this kid could do. That was Caitlin Clark. That was her impact. That was the stimulus package this league desperately needed. And how does the league repay that? How does WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert respond? How does Adam Silver, who oversees the whole operation, show gratitude for the most significant moment in the history of the product? They hand the microphone to the woman who spent an entire season and then some tearing Caitlin Clark down. This is the Ferrari fallacy of marketing, folks. folks. The WNBA is looking at a brand new sports car that they just acquired, a machine that finally has the horsepower to compete on the open road, and instead of putting premium fuel in the tank, they are pouring sugar in it. They are actively sabotaging their own vehicle because they cannot get out of their own way. Let me be very clear about what Cheryl Swoopes did. This was not a case of mild criticism. This was not a former player offering constructive analysis of a rookie's game. Cheryl Swoopes was one of the most vocal, most persistent, most visible critics of Caitlin Clark throughout her rookie season. The things that came out of her mouth, the takes she offered on various platforms, the consistent and relentless negativity directed at the one person who was actually growing the sport. It was not subtle, it was not nuanced, it was targeted, personal, and unyielding. She was so toxic, so consistently problematic, that she reportedly got removed from a podcast. Let that sink in. In an era where hot takes and controversy generate engagement, where saying outrageous things is often rewarded with more airtime, Cheryl Swoopes managed to cross a line so egregious that she lost her platform. And this is the person the WNBA wants representing their 30th anniversary? The teaser dropped with Swoopes delivering lines about building others up, about the accomplishments of the league, about the journey, and I want you to imagine just for a moment sitting in that production room. Imagine being one of the decision makers at WNBA headquarters who signed off on this. Did anyone raise their hand and say, wait a minute, isn't this the same Cheryl Swoopes who spent the last 18 months lying about and disparaging our biggest asset? Isn't this the same woman who alienated the exact fan base that finally showed up to support us? Apparently not. Apparently nobody in that room understood their audience. Or worse, they understood, and they simply do not care. Here is what makes this even more infuriating. There were other options. There were so many other options. If you want a legendary player from the Houston Comets dynasty to represent the celebration, how about Cynthia Cooper? Let us talk about Cynthia Cooper for a second because the disrespect is palpable. Cynthia Cooper was a Finals MVP on all 4 Houston Comets championship teams. All 4. She was the face of that dynasty in a way that defined excellence. She was dominant. She was iconic. She was everything you would want representing the legacy of the WNBA. Cheryl Swoopes, she played on those teams too. But Finals MVP on all 4? That was Cynthia Cooper. And yet somehow, the league decided that the controversial figure, the toxic presence, the woman who spent the past year attacking their meal ticket was the better choice. It defies logic. It defies business sense. It defies everything we thought we knew about professional marketing. You want other options? Breanna Stewart. She has been a dominant force. She has been a champion. She has, by and large, stayed above the petty nonsense that has plagued the league's culture. Diana Taurasi, look, she said some things about Caitlin Clark that were not flattering. That reality is coming comment did not age well, but there has been at least some positivity between them, especially toward the end. There was mutual respect. There was an acknowledgement, however begrudging, that Clark was special. Taurasi would not have been my first choice, but she would have been defensible. And if we are being completely honest about who should be the face of the WNBA's 30th anniversary celebration, who should be all over the marketing, who should be hosting the video and starring in the teasers and appearing on every piece of merchandise, there's only one answer. It is so obvious that saying it almost feels redundant. Caitlin Clark. She should be on all the propaganda, all of it, every billboard, every commercial, every social media campaign. The woman who walked out in that office building 2 years ago saying, "This is the WNBA," It should have been Clark. The face of the 30th anniversary should be the face of the future. The person who finally made the casual sports fan care about women's professional basketball should be the one welcoming them to the celebration. But instead, we get Cheryl Swoopes talking about building others up. And I cannot help but laugh at the irony. Build others up? Build certain ones up, maybe? Because we saw the favoritism. We saw the clear delineation. Some players got support and praise. Some players got attacked and diminished. Swoopes loved her some Angel Reese. She loved amplifying certain voices. But the biggest voice in the sport, the one drawing the ratings, that voice got nothing but hate. And I want to address the elephant in the room here because the online reaction has been immediate and brutal. Fans are not stupid. They remember. They have receipts. The comments are flooding in and they are savage. Swoopes talking about building others up. Nobody sees how ironic this is. Way to kill your marketing before the season even starts. How many takes before she didn't choke on her own words or laugh? Poor baby goats. As soon as I saw hating Swoopes slam the door shut, this is the audience. This is the fan base that finally showed up. This is the demographic that the $2.2 billion media rights deal was built on. And they are furious. They feel insulted. They feel like the league is spitting in their faces by elevating someone who spent the better part of 2 seasons spitting on their favorite player. The question that haunts me, the question I cannot shake, is simple. Who sits around the tables in WNBA headquarters and thinks this is a good idea? Who are these people? What data are they looking at? What focus groups told them that Cheryl Swoopes was the right choice to welcome new fans and celebrate the league's growth? Because I guarantee you, if you polled the millions of people who started watching the WNBA because of Caitlin Clark, the overwhelming majority would say absolutely not. Keep that woman off my screen. But the WNBA does not seem to care about those fans. The league still seems to be on its knees for a vocal minority that, let us be very clear, did not get them that media rights deal. The petty Twitter warriors, the jealous cliques, the old guard that resented the new guard for saving their paychecks. The league is still trying to appease that faction while simultaneously alienating the people who actually move the needle. This is what happens when you let resentment drive business decisions. This is what happens when the people in charge cannot separate their personal feelings from their professional obligations. The WNBA had an opportunity to embrace the new era, to welcome the fans that Caitlin Clark brought in, to say, thank you for showing up. We see you. We appreciate you. Let us celebrate this moment together. Instead, the message is clear. We do not care about you. We're going to platform the people who attacked your favorite player, and you can deal with it. And here is the thing that really bothers me about all of this. The season starts May 8th. We are weeks away from tip-off. The momentum from last year should be building. The anticipation should be electric. This should be the most exciting off-season in WNBA history. And instead, we are talking about this. We are talking about the league's tone-deaf marketing. We are talking about Cheryl Swoopes. We are talking about the failure of leadership to read the room. I made a prediction a while back, and I am going to make it again because I believe it more strongly now than ever. They are going to come after Caitlin Clark again this season. The hatred has not gone away. The resentment has not dissipated. It has just been hiding under the surface, waiting for the cameras to turn back on. Think about last year. Clark played roughly 13 games, depending on how you count the exhibition schedule. And in those 13 games, there was an incident, a controversy, a moment of drama, approximately every 3rd or 4th game. J.C. Sheldon, Marina Maybray, the physical play that crossed into dirty territory, the whispers and the snide comments and the barely concealed hostility. All of that happened in just 13 games. Now imagine a full season. Imagine 40 games. Imagine the playoffs. If the pattern holds, we are looking at a controversy every week. We are looking at a season-long gauntlet of pettiness and jealousy and spite. And the league, rather than getting ahead of it, rather than setting a tone that says, we are past this, we are moving forward, we are unified, has instead chosen to elevate the people who embody that toxicity. Cheryl Swoopes being the face of the 30th anniversary is not just a marketing failure. It is a signal. It is the league telling the old guard that they still have power. It is the league telling the new fans that their concerns do not matter. It is the league telling Caitlin Clark in the most public way possible that the people who attacked her are still welcome at the table. And I cannot understand the logic. I truly cannot. Because from a pure business perspective, this makes no sense. The people who love Cheryl Swoopes are not the people generating the revenue. The people who hate Caitlin Clark are not the people buying the merchandise. The audience that Swoopes appeals to is a shrinking, bitter segment of the fan base that was watching the WNBA when nobody else cared. And while their loyalty is noted, their numbers are dwarfed by the wave of new interest that arrived with Clark. You do not build the future by catering to the past. You do not grow the pie by serving the people who liked it when the pie was small. And you certainly do not celebrate 30 years of existence by handing the microphone to someone who represents the worst tendencies of your culture. The WNBA had something special. They still have something special if they can stop sabotaging it. Caitlin Clark is still there. The fans are still watching for now. The media rights deal is still in place. The opportunity is still real, but moments like this erode trust. Every time the league makes a decision that feels like a slap in the face to the people who showed up to support them, a few more fans drift away. A few more casual viewers decide it is not worth the aggravation. A few more people realize that the WNBA does not actually want their support. They just want their money. And eventually, if the league keeps making these decisions, if they keep elevating toxicity and sidelining their biggest asset, if they keep telling new fans that they do not matter, those fans are going to take their attention elsewhere. They are going to watch college basketball. They are going to watch the NBA. They are going to find something else to care about, because here is the dirty secret that the WNBA does not seem to understand. The fans do not need the WNBA. The league needs the fans. And right now, the league is treating them like they are disposable. Kathy Engelbert cannot get out of her own way. Adam Silver cannot get out of his own way. The WNBA, as an institution, cannot get out of its own way. They have been handed the greatest opportunity in the history of the league, and they are actively trying to squander it. Cheryl Swoopes starring in Raising Goats. The irony writes itself, because the only thing being raised here is the blood pressure of every fan who remembers what that woman said about Caitlin Clark. 30 years of existence, finally a chance to matter. And this is what they do with it. It is absurd. It is baffling. It is the most spectacular own goal I have seen in professional sports marketing in years. Tell me what you think. Does this make any sense to you? Can you defend this decision? Because I have been trying to find a logical explanation, and I keep coming up empty. The WNBA's 30th anniversary should be a celebration. Instead, it feels like a declaration of war against the very fans who gave the league a future. I am out. Until next time. Peace.